You and I don't wake up every day and go like, remember you're brown. You're going to be really brown today. It's like, no, it's a given. Can you imagine if they were like, yeah, go get your dream, but also get out? You'd be like in your room or whatever, and then your parents would be like, Shini, come downstairs.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, Mum, what? And it would literally be because there was a brown person on a TV show.
Whilst I'm pouring your cup of chai, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
My name is Nikesh Patel. I'm an actor. I grew up in Wembley, North West London. I started out, I suppose, largely doing theatre, acting on stage, but more recently have been doing film and TV.
Let's start with some serious questions.
Okay.
How do you take your chai?
Never scrimp on sugar.
I agree.
Because all of this needs that. Per cup, at least a spoon and a half. Maybe it makes sense why so many of us become doctors and dentists.
Yes.
But no, I think to balance the flavour, you need sugar and spice. I've said this before, but the one bit of careers advice my parents gave me was, better don't be a pharmacist.
Oh.
Yeah.
We love the honesty.
Yeah, like no shade to pharmacy.
No,
hey,
no,
listen,
not at all.
we all need our drugs,
We
but
love
like
our medication.
I think what they meant by that was find what works for you, find what you're passionate about, and which is very generous of them, you know. And I think quite often there is this set vision of like the overbearing or the restrictive immigrant family that's like, you must fall into line and you must do this. And I'm not saying that, you know, we didn't have like conversations and challenges to navigate, but actually I take for granted how beautiful it was that they just went, we've worked hard so that our children can find out what they want to do next.
100%.
My sort of bargaining was, look, I work hard at whatever I do, so let me see what happens if I work hard at something that is a bit outside of the realms of what you, Mum and Dad, are familiar with.
Can I just say, our parents were the strongest warriors, because me personally,
100%.
I have moved from London to Manchester, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I left my community.
The smells are so different.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you grew up in Wembley, right?
Yes.
What was growing up in Wembley like? Because it's quite an interesting fusion of British, Asian cultures there.
Yeah, and like there's, I mean, a big Gujarati community. My family are Gujarati.
Do you think in that landscape you found it easy to find yourself and navigate like your youth through it?
I don't think I thought about it consciously, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's only as I've got older that I've thought like, you're able to see the value of growing up somewhere like that, where, you know, and I suppose it's a version of what a lot of Londoners feel as well. It's like you do have cultures mixing, you know, not always harmoniously, sometimes clashing, but actually the great thing about like being on Ealing Road or like Wembley High Road is like you can hear 5 different languages.
So true.
You know,
so true.
The driving is always a bit janky. Like you never like you have got people who go, I know the traffic light's over there, but I'm just going to stick my hand out, make eyes and drive that, and it'll be fine.
One street, you got 5 different cuisines.
Exactly. That's one of those things that when you're in it, and particularly as a kid, you don't really give it a second thought. But it's only when you're older, you're like, our lives are going to come at us with plenty of opportunities to other us or to remind 100%. Us that we're not, that we are a bit different. But actually what that upbringing did was sort of smooth that over. And because that stuff can really sit with you when you're young.
1,000%.
You know, and kind of, like you said, it makes you second guess stuff. You look at the footprint that the South Asian community has on this country, on its history, on its culture, on its food, on its sports, you know, during COVID, like on its like literally on its health. That for me does not bear out in its cultural footprint. Right.
I do think you're making significant change in the industry. I actually really do. And I think one of the huge things that you've done is dismantling this South Asian stereotype that we can't be romance leads. I think you've played a few, you know, romantic leads in your time. And I know growing up, for me, that was not a space that I saw South Asian actors or actresses in. And that is, I think, a lovely wave of that is coming in. Was that a thought in the process of auditioning for these roles, being like, I don't know if I've seen myself in these roles?
100% when I was auditioning for these projects, you think about exactly what you said, which is a very particularly in the West, the industry has a very weird for us anyway, like view of the women tend to be exoticized.
Yes. True.
And largely held up as objects of beauty. The men tend to be, if we're outside of Bollywood, like crucially, or even like asexualized. Do you know what I mean? Or like somehow, and either...
Not desired.
Either not desired or in some cases like threatening, you know, like, and the two sort of feed each other. And so suddenly I'm going up for Mindy Kaling's like rebooting Four Weddings and a Funeral, and you're like, okay, already that's huge. And it's to play the romantic lead in the show opposite Natalie Emmanuel. And yeah, that was huge. The exciting thing about making that, and that we talked about a lot, and it's interesting that it had to come from Mindy, who is American, and also a trailblazer in her own right.
100%.
But it's the fabric of that show. Is British. It was set in London, so I was like, okay. Well, I'm glad someone has decided that this is long overdue. Yeah. And actually, what was quietly groundbreaking about that was about what was the way in which it just went, we're just going to do stuff.
100%.
And it's not going to be a big deal.
And it's not going to be a big deal. So I am in love with this wave of South Asians representing on camera and talking about their culture. I do it all the time. But there is something so beautiful about someone taking space in a role that almost has no mention of it, because they are reflective of the British landscape. Yeah. Them being there in itself is sufficient, right?
You and I don't wake up every day and go like, remember you're brown. You're going to be really brown today. It's like, no, it's a given.
100%.
And there will be moments in your day, in your work, where it'll flash up. So, like, they don't always have to be like microaggressions. They can just be, they could be like points of commonality, points of like...
Or choosing chai instead of coffee. Just something like that, yeah.
But I think what's exciting now, and there is a shift. For me, sometimes it feels slower than I'd like it to be, but I'm glad it's happening, is realizing that it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like, it doesn't have to be... I feel like as an actor, when you read a script and there are so many like cultural issues important cultural issues packed into it, that the writing doesn't allow room for a three-dimensional character.
Yes,
You can smell it a mile off.
100%.
And how that manifests for me or anyone doing my job is you read the lines and you go, this doesn't feel like a living, breathing character. This feels like talking points.
Yes.
Whereas I think what is exciting, if I'm right, from what you picked up on, is that there is a space now where you can just watch someone be, because this is a visual medium.
100%.
So sometimes it's quietly groundbreaking to just see like us two on this set.
Yeah.
And then we might talk about how much you love LinkedIn, for example.
LinkedIn sponsor me. No.
She's here.
Another icon who's dismantling South Asian stereotypes is Simone Ashley.
Yes.
Her lead in Bridgerton, and of course in Picture This. What was it like working with her, and how do you feel about her career progression just like taking off?
I mean, we were talking about like, people who can change conversations and make decisions, and what's been first of all, she was a joy to work with as an actor. Like, I read that script and I was like, oh great, I get to be in a rom-com opposite Simone Ashley, and then kept reading and it was like, and also get to play a character there where you end up with spoilers. Sindhu V at the end.
So cool.
I was like, yes, double yes. But what's really exciting about what Simone's done with that film is that she wasn't just leading it, she was an executive producer on it. So in terms of like important decisions about, that are happening in rooms far away from when we're actually on set, but it's like, what's the tone of this? Who are the creative partners that we want to make it? All stuff which, by the way, I myself am interested in potentially kind of like sitting in that seat.
Yeah.
So to see someone doing it and making it look as effortless as Simone was really inspiring. And
100%.
She's just getting started as well. That's the really exciting thing.
You talked about Mindy Kaling. Having other South Asians in the room with you, whether that be on the production team, in the director's seat, do you feel that in the work that you do? Do you see it in the work that gets produced? that presence?
Yes, but slower than I'd like. Is my honest answer. But like, definitely, it's moving, or it has moved in the right direction. But it needs to be baked into the culture of how we make stuff, rather than a response to the news or to politics. And unfortunately, that's often not the way things work. You know, there'll be a move to affect like meaningful change, and then you find out that move is motivated by it being in or fashionable.
Right.
And the problem with that is eventually there will come a point where it drops out of fashion. And then what happens? So like, do we undo efforts to kind of correct representation or balance out like gender parity, for example? A lot of it comes down to, you know, kind of like selection processes and the how strict the process is for someone to be able to get their break. And you know, is that rooted in privilege, whether that's just financial privilege of like having a place to stay in London?
Yeah, that's, you know,
all that
true.
Kind of thing.
There's so many like sunk costs behind being able to make it in this industry.
Yeah.
And I guess there's so much like, obviously we've been lucky with parents who haven't quite like go get your dream, but even that, if you don't have that really puts you 10 steps behind, right?
Oh my God, can you imagine if they were like, yeah, go get your dream, but also get out?
Oh yeah, 100%. Or like, go get your dream, but also work this full-time job at the same time.
Yeah.
You are right. Everyone has a different starting point, and unfortunately, I think that experience sets you a few paces behind, so you've got to be extraordinary, almost, to break through. You have a strong community behind you. What does that look like in terms of the South Asian community? Do you feel them backing you? Do you get people maybe asking you for advice?
Yeah, it has happened, and it's lovely whenever it does happen. You know, I think there is something really special about community, and I've definitely felt aware of it since I made my way in this industry. Suddenly, you get to a point where people want your advice.
Yeah.
And I will never sit here and say like my advice is definitive by any means.
No.
But you know, it's always really welcome. And also as a generation of us that are peers, what's been really exciting, and this sort of really started during lockdown. He's now a good friend of mine, Sasha Dewan.
Nice.
Incredible like body of work behind him.
Yeah.
Led by him, a few of us sort of realised, oh, we're all in our kind of respective lanes.
Yeah.
Working, but what doesn't tend to happen very often because of the industry that we're in and because the way it's set up is that you get to like come out of your lane and go, this is like, let's hang, you know, this is, we're not competition. We're not, you do you, I'll do me. Occasionally we'll both be up for the same thing and that's fine, but we are worth more to each other and to ourselves if we kind of like.
Yeah, not to reduce it, but there is strength in numbers.
100%.
Like that is, it's 100%. So it is just so, it works for everyone. In seeing yourself, you're probably inspiring a 6-year-old right now without even knowing, without just doing your thing.
Yeah.
You being here is doing so much. I want to ask, is there anyone that you looked up to?
Yeah, so many. I mean, did you have the thing when you were a kid of you'd be like in your room or whatever, and then your parents would be like, Shini, come downstairs.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, Mum, what? And it would literally be because there was a brown person on a TV show. But literally that.
Yes.
And it was like...
Do you know, I had it with Connie Huck. And she was obviously Blue Peter.
Iconic.
And my mum was just like, look at her.
Yeah.
And I'd look, and then that would be the end of the conversation.
Like,
But that was sufficient.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, exactly. It worked.
Yeah.
That's huge though, right? Because of course there's a world in which you don't see Connie Huck in that role and you can still be here. But
100%.
It's a huge source of strength.
Who was that for you?
There were lots of kind of like in different ways, I think. Goodness Gracious Me was huge.
Yes.
Growing up, particularly when we're talking about humour in relation to cultural stuff. It's why Goodness Gracious Me was so groundbreaking, is that there is a fine line between like respecting the culture.
Yes.
But then also not being too worthy. And inherent in comedy is a sense of fun.
Yeah.
Is a sense of like, and sometimes that's poking fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's going to rub people up the wrong way.
Yeah.
There is comedy that can do that very aggressively. But sometimes it's about going like, oh, I can poke fun at something because I love it. Goodness Gracious Me was huge. And then when I was at drama school, I remember Spooks was huge.
Okay.
It was about spies and MI5. Raza Jaffrey is a great South Asian actor. I think he's based largely in the States now. He had like a really kick-ass part on Spooks.
Nice.
And it's the same thing, right? You just watch that and it just affects your conceptualization of what you could be.
100%. You're like, he's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, if that doesn't exist, you have to dream bigger and go like, you know, well, what if I want to be a cowboy or whatever? I don't know why I picked cowboy. Maybe I yearn to do a Western, I don't know.
Nikesh, it has been so lovely speaking to you.
I feel like we could go on for hours.
100%. Yeah. We need like 5 jugs
more
of this.
Chai, yeah.
But I think we should raise our cup of chai to the future.
To the future. Thank you very much for having me.
In creative industries.